Hello there folks and welcome to the Scottish Super League, the first edition of this brand new tournament for Scottish Ultimate. We've got a match for you today and I'm Ewan Healing, going to be taking you through the events of this game, play by play of Skye Ultimate versus Clyde Ultimate. We've got Skye here in the lights and the white coloured tops and Clyde in the dark coloured kit, most of them in green, dark green or dark blue. And we've got the first real attempt at offense here in the game, doesn't quite come off, intercepted by our team Clyde, and the team trying to move through the motions to move the disc back upfield. We've got a lovely big forehand there by the Clyde handlers. See if they can string this into a full offensive move to score their first point, and there it is. That's the first point of the 2023-24 season of the Scottish Super League. If you aren't familiar with Ultimate Frisbee, the aim of the game is to catch the disc in your team's end zone, which is where you move the disc between your players to catch the disc in the end zone to score a point, of course, all in the meantime while stopping the opposing team from doing the same. You can't move with the disc and you can't steal the disc from the other player while they're holding it, but the aim is of course to intercept it in the air. So we have got Skye here coming out of a vert stack for their first big move. Rona Gordon there moving on to Ben Cornelius, handing off to the left hand side here. Can't see who it is. We are of course Scotland's answer to the NBA All-Stars, with of course significantly better budget, hence the incredible camera work there. So do apologise if anything happens off screen, you can't quite see what it happens. These teams, of course, are brand new, drafted for the first time to be playing in this tournament, and this being their first game. So the teams really are starting out just to feel each other out and feel how things are going in this first game. And here we've got captain of Team Clyde, Phil Webb. He's the male matching captain, the open matching captain, I should say, moving the disc upfield. Move to Alan Joykin there. Big forehand with his right hand there, up to his attacker. Johnny Tang doesn't quite make it, and in response the team Skye put it out the other side. So it's going to be another move from their own half here, with once again Phil Webb picking up the disc to take the disc up the field or try and create some movement. He's being marked here by in the centre of your screen. That's Lewis Grimmer, Alba player and former far-flung Glasgow University Ultimate player. A lovely smooth forehand up the field there, and a big huck up the field for a score in the end zone, making this game 2-0 for the first time. Well, it's very quick, very early days. It's too early to say whether any team's going to be running away with it, but Clyde will certainly be very happy with that first start there. That'll be one score in the beginning with the point, and then a break score that they've just completed there. So Clyde will pull there to Skye on the other side, where the disc will be picked up and moved. That's Harriet Hopper there on the disc, the women's matching captain for their team there. Played for a number of teams in Scotland, including Scram, one of the leading women's teams in Scotland. Moving the disc slowly up here, lovely little swishing fake there beforehand. Moving on to Sarah Baglia. Sarah Baglia is an Italian player on loan to Scotland in some respects, not literally of course because there's no money involved here, but she is working in Scotland for a few months and so playing here in the league, which has been plays her club Ultimate normally with CUS Bologna, one of the leading teams in Europe across the divisions of Ultimate. Pick's been called there by some of the players, so it's just gonna obstruction for one of the defensive players, so they're going to reset their positions before the disc moves in again and the game carries on. Lovely little offhand there by the Skye handlers, trying to create some movement here, dancing around the defending players that are trying to prevent them from scoring. Patient offense. The disc eventually comes up, moves it on to the ends. A wonderful jump in the air grab there for number 62, Skye offensive player. Moving along the end, and to Becca Hardman-Carter there, who scores in the end zone for Skye Ultimate's first point of this 23-24 season. And here is Skye's, one of Skye's experienced male matching players for a big pull, though there the pull is a little bit over-egged and ends up going out the far side. We'll come back into the middle of the field for on the brick mark for a bricked pull. Phil Webb once again with the disc in the centre. Phil of well-known in Scottish Ultimate circles, recently back from playing with the GB Masters team in Europe, where they won the European Championships. Also well known around Glasgow Ultimate Mixed, far-flung Glasgow University Ultimate, and Alba, men's world-class men's team in Glasgow. Andrea to Phil again there. Phil throwing a big forehand over the field before being moved up onto the wing, where Alan Joykin takes the disc again. And another score for Clyde Ultimate. Oh, a little bit of contesting discussion about whether that was an actual score there, but it does appear that it is a score for the team in the darks, Clyde Ultimate, and it is agreed that it is a score for Clyde Ultimate. So that takes us to 3-1 for Clyde. A healthy start for them again, but all still to play for here in the opening game. Big pull there. But the women's matching captain, I'm not sure that was the women's matching captain. Big pull there, one of their female matching players. Once again coming in for a brick in the middle of the field. Guy moving big forehand up the field. Can it come back in to be a very healthy score? What a phenomenal pull up the field there. Caught by Harriet Hopper in the end zone there. Female matching captain. They'll be very, very pleased there. Harriet Hopper, an experienced player. I'm told a guinea pig owner. And plays with both Scram and GUX, Glasgow Ultimate Mixed Team. So here we've got another line for the 6 players who are making their debuts for Skye here. Grace Cecil, St Andrews on the disc there with a big pull. Coming up there, big backhand pull. And once again bricked. Seems we're not having the best of opportunities, best of moments with our pulls on either side so far today. But here it is to come back into the centre for the brick mark for the recommencing of the game. So out of a horizontal stack here, looks like the the Clyde team are moving there. Johnny Tang on the disc, deciding what he's going to do there. A little back offload pass to Phil Webb. Webb considering his movements, lots of fakes, but a safety pass back again is the one he goes for. A quick dummy and a quick forehand upfield, but fumble in the air by the receiver doesn't quite make it to being the effective move they would have hoped for. So can Skye use this turnover to their advantage? Skye move up there. Rona Gordon on the disc. Currently playing with far-flung Ultimate Women's Team and Scram with her club Ultimate, when of course she's not here, playing with this team, this new forged team. Now the team's only been together for a few weeks, not had time to train or prep together as squads, other than I'm told there has been some friendly social dinners between the teams to try and develop a little bit of chemistry, but they really have only started playing Ultimate together for the first time today in this game, so we are still, as I say, feeling out how the teams are going to form up there. Faking up line there by Phil Webb, moving the disc on. John Tang in the middle of the field. A big, slow and wide outfield backhand there. Some contesting about whether it was caught within the field or not, but it appears it's been called out. Oh, sadly an injured player coming off the field there. Nothing too serious. I hope they're able to get back to playing soon enough. An injured player coming off there, of course, for Clyde. Skye moving the disc up the field, hoping to score a point, with a score there by Lewis Scrimmer in the bottom left hand corner of your screen there in their end zone. Bringing us up to 3-3 and we're all even. The game restarts with a big healthy pull, once again getting bricked by Skye. Clyde going to be bringing that disc right up into the centre mark. Around a third of the way up the field is what a brick mark is, or around a quarter of the way up the field. For the brick mark, he's supposed to be throwing that hole right into the middle of the end zone at the far end so that the other team have a good chance of catching it. Adam Sweeney on the disc, Rosham graduate, moving the disc quickly between his teammates for throwing it deep upfield, but slightly over-egged there. No cutter there able to make the distance there to catch that disc in the right place. Alcindria up there unable to catch that disc at speed. So once again we've got our light shirted Skye Ultimate playing out of a vert stack here, trying to see if they can make some space to make movement up the field. A lovely big pass, but obstructed in the air. Lovely defense in the air there by Gregor Forster to prevent that movement up the field. Big forehand, lovely forehand coming in. A lovely diving effort to catch that disc made right in the end zone, but sadly not to be this time. Should say, if you're watching this game and I get one of the players wrong, you'll have to forgive me. I'm watching this on the same quality video you're watching it. Some of them's not easy to quite identify, so you'll have to forgive me if I do make an error when I'm calling them out. Sarah Baglia with the disc. Forehand push up field right up the line there. Lovely fake step. Brings up the disc to Becca Harmon Carter. Even further, moving all the way up that left hand side of the field to make the offense, and working perfectly, bringing them exactly up to the far end. Just pushing up that left hand side, bringing Skye Ultimate into the lead for the first time in this game. Now that we've got about 13 minutes gone. Very healthy pull, yeah, bladed along the ground, bouncing away, as you'll see, coming up to be taken from the sideline by Phil Webb. There, stepping left and right, trying to find some space to push it upfield, but not finding it, so doing a handler reset along, all the way out to the far side, working it between what is 4 handlers now, or brought back sort of a very along that flat back line, trying to find some space to make some yards. One of the instances, or the interesting things about playing this sort of large field, sort of indoor ultimate, this large field ultimate indoors, so it's sort of playing with some outdoor styles but playing indoors, so there is no wind, and so that does of course impact the way you can play a little bit more creative, a little bit more control over what you're doing with the disc, aren't under sort of forced to do whatever by the wind. So Skye make a block there and try and move the disc in their favour up the field. Ben Cornelius on the disc, swinging it around to the outside. Grace Cecil, big upline cut, but intercepted before it can reach Rona Gordon by Clyde. Phil Webb back on the disc here and taken there, almost dropped right on the edge here by Clyde's other handler. Moving up here to Johnny Tang. Oh, pit called, so that means we've got another obstruction, as we've seen before, an obstruction of one of the defensive players, and so the disc has to go back to ensure that there's no disadvantage received to one of the players there. Alan Joykin with a big throw up the line there on his backhand, but just slightly too far, even for the outstretched and diving arms of the Clyde cutter. Not quite making it there for the first time. Looks like we have another injury there for Clyde. Really winded himself, perhaps on the way down the far end. I hope he's all right and is able to come back on and play. Love to bring you the news of what's happening on the field, but sadly I'm completely unaware. With the resetting of the positions on the field, it would seem it was not a score, and the score stays at 4-3 to Skye Ultimate at the moment, but still plenty of game to go. Phil Webb here being marked, of course, by the towering height of Lewis Grimmer. Two Alba teammates who know each other well. Gregor Forster with the disc, well experienced. Gregor Forster is playing with Dark Horses, University of Strathclyde team. They're being reset the disc once again. Disc moving even further up for Clyde, taking just a few yards at a time. Lovely little upline cut there by the 1-2 between Phil Webb and Gregor Forster, and that's eventually what leads to the score there. We'll through to a well-placed cutter in the centre of the end zone. Very healthy pull there, which is not brick, bringing the disc straight into continued play, being played along the right hand side now by Skye Ultimate, named of course after Scotland's largest inner Hebrides, largest inner aisle. Not because any of the individuals have a particular, not because that's where they train or anything like that, just named for Scotland's various phenomenal pieces of landscape, our four teams in this tournament. The eagle-eyed view will have noticed that there is another game of Ultimate going on the far side. That is the other game taking place between Nevis Ultimate and Lomond. Sarah Bagley with the disc there, moving it up on Harriet Hopper, moving the disc even further up, not quite being able to court, but just poked along so that there's a score in the far right hand corner to bring the score to 5-4. Skye holding the lead after a little bit of a wobbly start, but Skye Ultimate aiming to hold the lead fine for now. Through there, through that little space, but just athletically grabbed by the Clyde handler. Just beyond the fingertips of the Skye player, they're not quite able to grab it. Those who played Ultimate before will be familiar with the fact that players have around 10 seconds on the disc when they've got the disc in their hand, but the score is the time they have on the disc, I should say, is counted down by the defensive player with them. They've got to be within 3 meters to be able to make that counting call, and so that's why you'll see players, after they've holding the disc for a little bit longer, it's like to make slightly more risky throws, or perhaps move the disc back to a handler reset in those moments. That's just if you haven't watched Ultimate before, you get familiar with what's going on. Moving the disc around at the back here, Skye slightly unable to make any forward progress, but a little darting undercut by Ben Cornelius, able to make a little bit of progress, which helps to break down some of the pressure being put on them by Clyde. So they're able to move the disc now past the halfway line. Can they make it all the way to the end zone to score another point? Over there, Rona Gordon now holding the disc in the middle with a tight mark from Andrea, the women's matching captain for Clyde. Skye, a big overhead hammer coming up and caught very cleanly by the cutter in the far end there. Can this come and be the score? Oh yes, fantastic. The Skye player there just ahead of his dark shirted Mark, able there to just get ahead of him and catch the disc ahead where the defender could not block it. Big healthy pull out to the far end there, going to be taken and thrown from just inside their own defensive end zone by the Clyde players. It's really the ideal kind of design that you really want for a pull, meaning that the Clyde have got the hardest distance, the most yards to mark and move up the field. Diving their catch just to make sure it doesn't go down there, the disc in the corner of the right hand corner of your screen here, keeping it moving but still failing to make many yards from their own end zone there. Big throw up the field, slyly starting to make some progress up the right hand side. Big forehand throw over the top and grabbed, but I think just outside the end zone. Just outside the end zone. So they'll need to make one more pass to be able to keep this score continuing. To be able to make the two passes was what would take it to make the score and place Skye Ultimate now up 6-5, only 1 point between the two teams. Pulled by Philip Webb again then here for his Clyde Ultimate, a team that he is co-captaining there with Andrea Granaru, who's of course the captain over at Edinburgh Ladies Frisbee. Grace Cecil there moving the disc along the back for a little forehand to push it up through the field. Becca Hardman Carter taking the disc in the middle, recently back from GB under 24s women's tournaments this summer, playing with that training squad before moving the disc all the way up to Ben Cornelius, who is the coach over at one of the coaches over at Dark Horses Strathclyde at the moment, for their score to take it to Skye 7 Clyde 5. Clyde hoping to break quickly here and ensure that they don't lose another score to take them even further away, but it does mean a little diving save there. A little tap on, but the disc isn't lost. Disc stays in the hands of the dark shirted players and is grabbed in the end zone. The lovely jumping reach there of the players. One of the real advantages that you want in a cutter is that height, but that jumping reach as well. Brings us to 7 points to Skye Ultimate, 6 for Clyde. Takes us to about halfway through the game.
There we go. There's a turn in here. Kieran.
Lovely little backhand through, fired through to make advantage of the gap. To the centre of the field, Lucy Brown with the disc. Move through the backhand, reset. Looking for the overhead, but it wasn't on this time from the Skye player. Moved back along the line there between those at the far rear. Through again, back to Lucy Brownshire, making that space, using that cutting space right as sort of a focus man in the middle of the field. But it would appear this play has been stopped once again, as we've seen already this game, for a pick and obstruction of a defensive player. So the disc comes back in, and can the disc be moved on and forward? Here looks like the only option was to swing it all the way around wide to Grace Sizzle there and back again. So they're coming back some yards, but now use that as open space. An interception from Alan Joykin means that the disc is now with the big Dutch man. Clyde moving the disc further on up the field. A little fumble on the ground there. Means that the disc is turned back over to Skye. Taking their time there, not rushing too fast, taking their time to make the most of this opportunity. Moved over the top there. Again, losing a few yards, but making them up straight away. Slightly overcooked and outside They're nearly hitting the cameraman on the far side. All comes with the game, doesn't it? All comes with the game. Oh, sadly, looks like we've got another injury on the field, and a substitute there. That's Lucy Brown coming off for Harriet Hopper.
Let's go, Kieran!
So the disc being brought in from the sideline on the far side. Forehand throw, moving it back across the field. Oh, and a lovely little block there, meaning that the disc is turned back over to Skye. Can Skye use the opportunity right here close to their attacking end zone? A little bit of slow down there, having to bring to the reset, but using that open to really open up the place wide and bring it in for a score for Benjamin Cornelius there. A lovely little kick of the disc to celebrate. And that brings us to half-time. Skye 8 points and Clyde 6. And the game restarts with Skye on the pole. But once again, overcooking it. All these discs leading to the left-hand side. Read into that as you will, meaning that's going to be bringing in for a brick and a restart from the brick mark. In the middle of the field, or a quarter of the way up the field. Phil Webb throws through. Fast little disc. Athletic defense preventing the disc from being moved on there. Just being reset once again, coming back through, right, sort of moving those lateral moves to really open up the defenders. Caught slightly up the field, but still inside the field by Gregor Forster. Cut up the line there, moving a defender out of the way, making the next move in the same position work really well for Clyde. Moving these little handoffs, making the difference here for Clyde. Ultimate once again back with Gregor Forster on the right hand side there, but a very, very tight mark from Skye, really not letting him, forcing him to step out really far to be able to reset that disc to the far side of the field, but no stopping Clyde as they move the disc even further up the field, close to the end zone. Can they make that final throw to get in? A little bit of a messy move, but all the players well marked out at the moment in the end zone, struggling to make that final pass. Again, moving around between the three handlers, trying to shake their marks. Big sort of screen defense by Rona Gordon there to try and prevent the easy throws in the throwing lane, but just shallowly scored in the corner of the end zone there to bring it up to 8 points to 7. Slightly misfired pull there will bring it to restart from the point where the disc left the field, and that will be where the players on the offensive team in this particular instance, Skye, will choose to take the disc from, pushing themselves up and up the yards of the field. Will come out as the better 6-on-6 in this particular point, swinging out to the far side, and a lovely little score right in the pocket, right in the corner of the field there for Skye, using a very quick move for Grace Cecil to score there. Big pull. Will this one stay in the field? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Yes, looks like a very healthy pull, keeping those players from Clyde all the way down in the pin to the very, very back of the field. Clyde, Phil there unmarked for a moment, taking his time before a big backhand all the way up the field, but not quite in the right placed, not quite placed correctly for a team to make the progress they'd want to score another point. So the disc will come back in where it went out the field for a turnover disc. Disc brought back in, brought along to the reset handler, Sarah Rabaglia. Almost coming in for Lewis Grimmer, but not quite. swung out really wide for Beckham Hardman Carter to come in and take the disc. Still sitting at that deep, but a lovely step around, make sure the disc stays safely in Skye's hand. Sarah Baglio, the Italian, there still with the disc, safely and calmly waiting for the right reset moment to come along. Disc moved up nicely, moving up, crossing all the way laterally to the other side. A lovely overhead, but sadly to no avail, not coming to the right place. Phil very quick to pick it up and move on the disc. Gregor Forster holding the disc there, but still patiently waiting for the right moment to come through. Almost a crash in the air between two Clyde players. A little bit of moment of miscommunication, but luckily they keep the disc. Reset once again. Defense staying close by, but not able to prevent the disc from being moved on here. Slowly but surely, Phil Webb, the captain, moving up to number 77 before a lovely little overhead and a diving score. Almost scored, but not quite there for Gregor Forster, diving in the end zone, slashing cut. So as we've seen with Skye continuing to use a vert stack here to try and stretch out the spaces and opportunities they have with the disc. First cut coming in, no avail there, swinging it again because that vert stack wasn't working in the first instance, trying to find the right space and a little cut and passing through, but going for the big huck upfield. And a lovely take there. Lucy Brown ready with the disc, pushing it all the way through for Becca Harman Carter, running up the other end. And can she complete it? Oh, yes, a lovely throw all the way across, right to the far side of the field. A lovely, lovely slashing point. Brings Skye up to 10 points to Clyde's 7. Bladed pull there, rolling, but taken quickly by the Clyde handlers. Alan Jokin moving on to Phil Webb. Andrea Gadanaro taking a moment before a foul call means there's going to be a brief moment of stoppage before the disc gets ready to be reintroduced into the field of play. Looks like there was a pick call, but it's back on again. Grace Sizzle back into defense, but Andrea moves it on very quickly. Johnny Tang there now with the disc. Can he make the move onto Alan Joykin? Oh, but sadly a slight biff into the ground there for Alan, and not his best. Big overhead. Can that be the difference? A very quick surprise overhead, but sadly no one there on the receiving end to make the difference for Clyde Ultimate for Skye Ultimate in that moment. Clyde instead coming on the offense on their own speed, taken with pressure, but still held by Clyde in the end zone. Can they make that final pass to bring it up to the end? Lots of quick darted cuts and a slightly over-egged throw means that it slightly goes out the far side, but a really healthy attacking optimism in the Clyde side, not letting the fact that they're 3 points down get to their heads and keep them from trying to make these big moves to push for the win themselves. Rona Gordon with the disc there. Quick reset, an upline cut, will it come? And a big, not an upline cut, but a much deeper forehand throw to try and move the disc in some progress. And despite the pressure of two defensive players on the spot, the Skye cutter is able to take on the disc. Quick reset to keep it moving to Harriet Hopper there. Harriet Hopper still unmarked, so able to take as much time as she needs. Disc slowly being on. Harriet Hopper taking the up line and just slightly beyond her reach in the end zone there. But a really healthy move, almost coming off. Would have been quite a good looking team score if it had. Now, of course, Skye, can can afford with a 3-point buffer to take a little bit of time, but the clock is slowly running out for Clyde Ultimate, so they're going to start to feel a little bit more pressure to make the difference, as you'll see these few more of these big hucks to try and make the big yards up the field there. Can this one be the difference? Johnny Tang running up to the end zone, but once again slightly beyond his fingertips and slightly beyond his ability to score that point for them. So the disc will turn back over for a Skye point. The venue, of course, today, Ravenscraig Sports Centre, near Motherwell, just to south of Glasgow. A really healthy and useful, zone. Spelling appreciate wrong is not how you're going to get me to appreciate you. Rue Wallace, cameraman supreme. Skye moving the disc once again. Can they hold on to the disc long enough to make sure that Clyde aren't given the opportunity to come back? A foul called there, a moment of stoppage. Just interrupted the flow of Skye's movement, but the disc's back in straight away now. They can move it up, a little upline cut and a big throw up the line, and a little bit of a collision, but the score has gone anyway to bring us 4 points ahead. Skye 11-7. Phil Webb just surveying his options before choosing the handler reset there for Clyde. Oh, and a lovely defensive dive there by Lewis Grimmer, which the Clyde player has claimed that he stripped away. Looks like it's an uncontested foul there, so Lewis Grimmer agreeing that he stripped the disc out of the hands of the Clyde offensive player, and therefore the Clyde player getting to play the disc there. Clyde swing. Gregor Forster in the middle of the field with the disc. A little pop on to Phil Webb. Swung again back to Phil before being scored right in the corner. Brilliant little move there. Lots of short passes making up the difference there to bring it up to 11-8. Still all to play for, only 3 points. Not much of a difference to be spoken of between these two teams. Very, very, very strong offense, pushing on that defense as well, but both of them using long and short passes, making a really big effort here. Neither of them are ready to be counted out. Berta Gordon onto Grace Cecil, swung all the way on to the right. Little overhead blade before moving the disc up a little bit further, middle of the centre of the field. Now waiting patiently for the right moment to push the disc even further on. A lovely little scoop over the head for a score for Ben Cornelius in the middle of the end zone. Wonderful little score. Disc up with a big backhand pull by Skye once again, who are now leading by 4 points. Clyde, Phil Webb. Not Phil Webb, sorry, but Johnny Tang moving on the disc there. Little pop overhead to Gregor Forster, but it doesn't come off with Sarabaglia. Sarabaglia making up the defense there against Gregor Forster despite the height mismatch. Disc moving up patiently and without real pressure by Clyde here. Their defensive structure really not able to cope with that restart. Luckily for Clyde, I should say, there's a little fumble there at the end, which means that there's no score. But Clyde will need to be able to put much higher pressure on if they're going to be able to prevent any more scores going up like that. Clyde moving the disc around the back. Johnny Tang, Gregor Forster, back to Johnny Tang. Pop passes between the two of them, trying to make the difference as they move up here. Andrea, Gregor Forster, over the head, middle of the field. Big backhand, not quite making it all the way. Swung round to Becca Hardman Carter for Skye as they make the yards back in the other direction. They trying to move here from the right to the left of your screen. Sir Baglia. Oh, defense there by Clyde, blocked out of the air, meaning a turnover. And of course, Clyde trying to take that very quickly, trying to make up the fact that they're now 4 points in deficit, running and taken up there to take that only to 3 points in deficit. Now, with not too long left in the game, can Clyde make up those final 3 points to make it not an 0-1 for their first game? Skye with a cheeky little overhead scoob there. Harriet Hopper beating her mark very cleanly. Those big wide steps. Ben Cornelius throwing it back again. Harriet Hopper. Players you'll see here wearing lights and darks from teams that they play from elsewhere beyond this tournament, instead of having a specific tournament kit for this team, which has a bit of a tradition that you'll see for the Barbarians, for example, in rugby or in the NBA All-Stars. Disc being moved up slowly, but not putting too much to risk here. Harriet Hopper with time there before her defender arrives, and taking advantage of those big wide steps, baiting her defender into stepping too wide, so she's got more easy passes. Just being moved up there, and that's the hooter. That is the end of our game for the last possession, and there's the score for the last point of this game. Oh no, doesn't appear that was the end of the game. We've got one more point to play by the looks of things. Big throw up from Skye. Clyde not going to accept ending the game already, going to keep pushing up. Gregor Forster hoping to see if he can be the difference that his team needs. Two handlers passing side to side. Oh, and a fumble there means the disc just turnover. So Skye on the offense here with a 4-point lead. Can they make it a 5-point lead today? Moved over the head, Becca Hardman-Carter on the right-hand side of the field. Moved up to Sarah Bagley, play together for far flung. And a one back again there. And a little bit of miscommunication. Two miscommunication means that almost a block, but not quite. Sarah Bagley there taking her time, swinging it out wide with a forehand. Swung up, lovely backhand throw over the head. Can this be the final turn? And not quite making up there. Lucy Brown to Lewis Grimmer for what I think will be the final point of the game. Yes, it is. That is the final point of the game. So Skye leads 14 points to 9 over Clyde for the opening game of the season. Very exciting match. Thanks for joining us for the first game of the Scottish Super League.